Let's talk about your spouse, your significant other, your partner, that person in your life who helps make your life run and work. Whether they're a business partner and they're actually in the trenches with you, or they're someone who helps make the family run, the house run. They're the person who you share your triumphs with, your failures with, that intimate person who your life doesn't work as well if they're not in it and if they're not running well themselves. Let's talk about that person in your life, and let's talk less about that person and who they are, and let's talk about the agreements that you have with them. A lot of my conversations with my clients have to do with the fact that they have greedy jobs. They have jobs that they have to function at such a high level, and it demands. There's a lot of demands on your time, no matter what your boundaries are, no matter what your work life balance and your values are. These jobs sometimes bleed into the evenings. They bleed into the weekends. They are long hours. They sometimes take long stretches where you're concentrating on work and not on the family. And we talk a lot about making sure that you have time for your relationship, your family, your health, your mental health, all that stuff. But there's just sometimes when the focus has to be more on the family because someone's in the hospital or needs your attention, or sometimes it's more on work. And the way these things work best is if you have agreements. You may have a significant other who works also a greedy, demanding job. And if you have children and you're both working those kinds of jobs, you have a lot to navigate. And it's the ground rules that are the most important thing. Fences make good neighbors. Ground rules and agreements make really strong relationships. So understanding who's on, who's not, how do you communicate when both people aren't available? How do you decide who makes the sacrifice at that time? What are the values in that? If one spouse stays home and the other one just seems to be away a lot, what do they need? Like, have these conversations of what do you need to feel safe? What do you need to feel seen? What do you need to feel valued? This is what I need to in order to get my job done. These are the times I'm not going to be available. Can we agree on this? I interviewed John Sapone, who is VP of Sales at one of the organizations that I work at. And he's worked in several of the fastest growing startups in the world. You can go back and listen to that episode where he talks about he and his wife had an agreement of the kind of person he is and the kind of job he likes to have. And they built their whole entire family around that. And the kids knew who he was. They knew when he was going to be around, when he wasn't going to be around. And it was those understandings of who each other were that made it work. So again, they say, like, in order to be successful, one of the best assets you have is that spouse. And that's true, but only if your communication is honest, your communication is clear, and it's constant. You absolutely have to always be negotiating and renegotiating. People's feelings change. There's also going to be times when there's just tension. I do personality tests often on the significant other of my clients. I say, let me do the Enneagram for your spouse. Let's have a conversation between the three of us so we can talk about what motivates you, what motivates that person, what scares you, what has you break down. Is it a lack of connection? Is it a lack of control? Is it a lack of communication? What makes you break down? And when I get them to understand each other, those conversations go so much better. So those personality tests aren't just great for teams; they're great for the team at home, so that you know that if you have it, one person's a driver and one person's a more of a caring caregiver type person, you know what makes each tick, and you can have those conversations. So sit down and make some ground rules with your significant other. You both come with the best intentions. You both come with the intention of making sure that life works for both. You come with the intention of not trying to get, because often we love having a spouse who makes a ton of money, but then we miss them. And that there's that tension there. We often think that we're fine and we're okay and we can deal with this, and then we find it's a little bit too much. And if we don't communicate, it turns into resentments. Resentments turn into distance. Distance turns into divorce and separation. So communication, 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 agreements, agreements, agreements. Send me a note. I'll send you my take on agreements versus expectations, so that when you have those unmet expectations, you can quickly create a new agreement to come back together and be a team again. But these agreements and these communications are essential for you to be a team. I love you. Have a great rest of the day.